welcome to Barca News. It is Friday, April 24th, and we're going to talk about the Getafe match that Barcelona are set to play tomorrow. We have that entire preview, statements, lineup, injury updates, all of it. Also, a FIFA agent claiming that the Osimhen signing is likely or realistic, I should say. And finally, Julian Alvarez looking for a house in Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Bo. Welcome to the Barca News Live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments and reacting to them live. So start filling out the chat section with your questions, your comments, whatever you have on your mind. Put it in the chat section so we can get this going. Now, for those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description, the chapters, and the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. And of course, if you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Kitbag or Fanatics. If you're looking to place any sports bets, you can head to Bet Us. All links are down below in the description. And finally, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. And while it helps me continue bringing you the news about the greatest club in the world, Football Club Barcelona. All right, let's begin with the news. And as always, the first segment of news is comprised of multiple bits of news. It started with the amazing gift that we got today to start the weekend, which is that Real penalties dropped more points. Yes, Real penalties have dropped more points because they are a pathetic team, a team with no energy, a team with no intensity, a team with no ideas, no cohesion, no team. Is it called teamsmanship? That doesn't sound right. Probably not. Anyways, a pathetic team, a horrible team, a team that, well, I'm sure they will blame the ref for this draw because today Real Madrid were leading 1-0, well, 0-1 because they were playing away, the entire match. And then at the 93rd minute, by the way, the ref had only added 3 minutes. So at the 93rd minute, literally at the last second of the match, Hector Bellerin, the academy graduate, La Masia graduate, scored the 1-1. And, well, Real Madrid dropping 2 points. Absolutely crazy and a great gift to begin this weekend. Now, to be fair, Real Betis really deserved to win. And if you didn't watch the match, all you need to know is that Lunin, the substitute goalkeeper, was the MVP of the match. That right there should tell you everything because Real Betis played way better than Real Madrid. They had chance after chance, but it was Lunin who saved Real Madrid, not Vinicius Jr., not Kylian Mbappe, not Jude Bellingham, none of those clowns. No, it was Lunin who saved Real penalties from a defeat. And instead, they go home with 1 point that, honestly, they did not deserve. Not to mention that there was a clear penalty by Real penalties in the box. I can't remember what player it is. Literally extends his arm and, like, pushes the ball down. Clear handball in the box. And, of course, the referee, all of a sudden, he's Helen Keller. Can't see shit. But anyways, Real Madrid now drop points, so they only gain 1 point from the draw. So now the distance between them and Barcelona is 8 points, with, of course, Barcelona set to play their respective match tomorrow against Getafe, which means if we win tomorrow against Getafe, we would extend our lead to 11 points. If we draw, it goes back to 9 points, like nothing happened. And if we lose, it stays at 8 points, which is still a pretty good lead, given that after tomorrow, there will only be 5 matches left, or 6 matches left. 5? No, I think it's 5. Yeah, 5 matches left. So, whatever happens tomorrow, it's already a win for us. Again, we either extend it to 11, it goes back to 9, or it stays at 8, which again, pretty good lead. Now, what does that mean as far as becoming champions? Before Real Madrid's draw, we needed to win 3 more matches. Tomorrow against Getafe, next week against Osasuna, and then El Clásico. We win those 3 matches, we are champions. But now that Real penalties dropped points, if we win against Getafe and if we win against Osasuna, we would be champions before El Clásico match, which means Real penalties would have to give us the guard of honor or honor guard, whichever one it's called, which I don't know whether they will or not, because let's not forget when Barcelona won the Spanish Super Cup final, they refused to do it. They refused to stay on the field, and instead they all went into the locker room like the little bitches that they are. Now, I prefer that we beat Real Madrid in El Clásico and become champions, because I think beating Real Madrid at the Camp Nou in the first El Clásico match since the Camp Nou reopened and becoming champions at their expense, I think this would be the cherry on top. But of course, if we become champions before, well, I'm not going to complain, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, no, this sucks. Fuck this team. They became champions before El Clásico. But anyways, great gifts by Real penalties, who continue to suck. The last match, by the way, when they beat Alaves at Bernabeu, the entire stadium booed the team. They booed Vinicius. They didn't boo Mbappe as much. And of course, they booed the entire team because Real Madrid fans are sick and tired of these Madonnas. Now, speaking of tomorrow's match, of course, we do have to talk about tomorrow's match, because today the team trained one last time ahead of tomorrow's match against Getafe, a match that will be incredibly difficult because check this stat out. Barcelona have not won at Getafe Stadium, El Coliseo, in 5 years. We have not won in Getafe Stadium in 5 years. It's a long time, ladies and gentlemen. We've lost twice, and we've drawn 3 times. 5. I know this was confusing. I did this 3 times, but it's 2 plus 3. 2 losses plus 3 draws. But we haven't won in 5 years at the Coliseo. So tomorrow it's expected to be a tough match against a team. We all know how they play. Super dirty. They park the bus, they foul, they pretend to be fouled, they dive, they waste time. Pretty much, they're football destroyers, and that's how they have become the team. I think they're the team that least concedes goals in La Liga, or one of the teams that least concedes goals, but incredibly difficult to score against Getafe. But hopefully tomorrow, Hansi Flick will be able to break that streak of 5 years not being able to win at El Coliseo, so we can extend our lead over Real penalties from 9, well, right now it's 8 to 11 points. Now, this is the squad that has traveled to Madrid, because if you don't know, Getafe, they are in Madrid, in the city of Madrid, the metropolitan area of Madrid. So this is the team that has traveled to Madrid. In goal, of course, we have Joan Garcia, Wojciech Szczesny, and Eder Aller, not Diego Cochen. That was interesting. The defense, we have Joao Cancelo, Alejandro Balde, Ronald Araujo, Pau Cubarsí, Gerard Martin, Jules Koundé, Jewelry Koundé, rusted Jewelry Koundé because he sucks. What's his name? Cortés and Xavi Espart. And in the midfield, we have Gabi, Pedri, Fermín López, Marc Casado, Dani Olmo, Frankie de Jong, and Tommy Marquez. And then our attackers, a very thin list. Ferran, Lewy, Rashford, and Rooney Bardghji. 4 attackers for 3 positions, which you ideally want 6, right? 3 starters and 3 subs. But with all of our injuries, with Lamine being injured, with Coutinho being injured, well, that list is looking thin. Now, as you can see from the squad list, of course, besides Lamine and Rafinha being missing due to injury, we also don't see the name of Eric Garcia, and that's because Eric received his 5th yellow card against Celta, which means he's suspended for tomorrow's match, but he'll be back next match. So don't worry, Eric Garcia is not injured. He's simply serving a 1-match suspension. And as you can see, the good news is that Joao Cancelo is back on the list. Of course, there was an injury scare with Joao Cancelo. We saw him leave the field against Celta. But don't worry, he's not injured. He trained with the group today. He's part of the squad list. He's in Madrid. We'll see whether he starts or whether he ends up coming off the bench since they did have that scare. Of course, it all depends on how his physical exams are tomorrow and how the sensations are with the Portuguese player. Now, of course, we do have to talk about the elephant in the room because, of course, Lamine Yamal won't be there tomorrow. He won't be there for the rest of the season. And, well, this is what Hansi Flick had to say during a pre-match press conference in regards to our star, the best player in the world, Lamine Yamal. It's not easy for him or for us. We have to manage it. He'll learn from his first muscle injury. He'll surely be ready for the World Cup and will come back stronger. He felt something after the penalty foul, but nothing serious, so we decided he'd take it. It was his first muscle injury, and that's why it's not easy to interpret the signals the body can give. He'll learn because he's very young. He's ready. He's already missed games this season, and it didn't go too badly for him. So, not Lamine Yamal. I was going to say Fermin. Flick revealing that it wasn't the penalty that injured Lamine. It was the foul that led to the penalty. Remember when I was talking during a post-match live analysis, I was like, I'm not sure what injured Lamine. Was it the hit or was it the subsequent kick? So it looks like Lamine felt something when the foul happened. And instead of asking for a substitution, he went on and took the penalty kick, which made things worse, right? And of course, Flick saying, well, he's young. It's his first muscle injury. He's going to learn because knowing whether a pain is something serious that I need to step back or whether it's just a knock and it's going to go away, it's also part of the experience as a football player. Reading your body's signal comes with experience, right? And right now, Lamine is 18. He's very young. He didn't know the difference. He probably thought it was just a knock. Oh, I'm just hurting because I just got hit. But in reality, he had, gotten injured and then made it worse by taking a penalty. This happens. I'm sure Lamine will learn from this. Now, Flick says he's already missed games this season, and it didn't do too badly for us or go too badly for us. Maybe that's what he meant. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the transcription is bad, or maybe that's what Flick said. After all, English is not his first language. So let's look at the numbers because, yes, this is not the first time Lamine Yamal is injured. As you might recall, during the months of September and October, Lamine Yamal missed 5 matches due to that pubalgia that he was dealing with. And, well, during those 5 matches, Barcelona had 4 victories and 1 defeat. During Lamine Yamal's absence, Barcelona defeated Newcastle in the Champions League, Valencia, Getafe, who we're playing against tomorrow, and Real Oviedo. And the only loss when Lamine wasn't there for those 5 consecutive matches was against Sevilla. Now, that wasn't the only time Lamine Yamal missed some matches. He also had a subsequent miss due to suspension. He came in the Champions League, and Barcelona won that match against Slavia Praha. So, 6 matches that Lamine has missed, 5 due to injury, 1 due to suspension. In those 6 matches, Barcelona won 5 times and lost once. So, that gives me good hope for tomorrow. By the way, Lamine Yamal, season's over, so we can now consider his numbers as final. 24 goals and 18 assists. 24 goals and 18 assists at 18 years old is fucking insane. Insane. And to think that there are mentally retarded people who want to compare Arda Güler to Lamine or Mastantuono to Lamine, you gotta be next level retarded. 24 goals and 18 assists. And that's just the numbers. We all see what Lamine does on the field, which is way more than just scoring goals and providing assists. The way he dribbles past players, the way he unlocks matches, the way he unlocks defenses, the way he can have 4 or 5 people and still get past them is out of this freaking world. Not even Messi or Penaldo were doing what Lamine is currently doing at only 18 years old. And again, people want to compare Mastantuono, a substitute. Can you imagine how retarded you have to be to do that? Like next level stupid. Like I'm surprised these people don't fall over more often. Or maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they forget to breathe every now and then because that's how stupid they are. Maybe. But anyways, let's continue because, of course, now that Lamine is injured, the spotlight is going to be on the man of the hour, Rooney Bardagji, who's expected to be subbing in for Lamine for the next 6 matches. What an opportunity for the 19-year-old. No, he's 20 now. For the 20-year-old, as he will get his chance to prove why Barcelona signed him last summer from the Swedish league. And this is what Flick had to say about Rooney. He's ready. Of course, he was ready. I already said that. He's doing well, and now we'll have more opportunities to play, although we haven't yet decided if he'll start in Getafe. So there you have it, folks. Flick saying Rooney Bardagji is ready. So Rooney, show us what you got, my friend. Let's kill it out there. Don't be like Trashford, who had the opportunity of a lifetime when Coutinho got injured and instead showed us why we shouldn't sign him. Not why we should. All right, let's start with the comment section, and then we will talk about Alejandro Balde because he's under the microscope given his bad performance. Maybe. Let's see. My friend, I'm having a dinner tonight at my house, and my friend is texting me. He doesn't know that I'm live. Let's see. I'm sending him my address, even though he's been to my house a million times. Live. I'm currently live. In other words, stop texting me. There we go. All right. Done. Now, let's start with the comment section. But first, because it is Friday, Unhinged Mo comes out on Fridays. I got to take a sip of wine. There it is. There it is. I had a long week. Lots of work. Don't be attorneys, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go to law school. Do not become attorneys. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. I love it, but it sucks. Let's see. Dorian says, hey, Mo, today's my birthday. Just turned 20 years old, and seeing Madrid drop points once again is a very good birthday gift for me. Bisca Barca. Well, happy birthday, my friend. Happy 20th birthday. May this year be filled with more blessings than the previous ones. And may you have a very long, healthy life full of love, full of money, full of sex. Because, yeah, I like it. Let's see. James, who says, time waits for Mo. I am chronically late. I got to admit this. I am chronically late to everything. Even yesterday. If you guys saw that videos from earlier today, I talked about how I didn't do any videos yesterday because I had a work dinner. I wasn't even late to the work dinner. The dinner started at 7:45. Very weird time, by the way. I think I pulled up at like at 8:10, and I was like, what's up, guys? I don't know what it is. I try. I really do. But no matter what I do, I somehow always end up being late. Like yesterday, for example, there's delays on the subway. Not only that, finally the subway gets there. I get on it, and then my dumbass gets off one stop before my actual stop. So then I had to walk. And it was a long walk. So I ended up being like, 25 minutes late? Yeah, chronically late. John says, hey, Mo, how are you? Thanks for always keeping us updated with Barca news. How's your dog? Is that dog? Yeah. I love the way you take care of your dog. Well, thank you, my friend. My dog is doing amazing. I think he's downstairs right now. Yeah, he's definitely downstairs. He's waiting for me to take him out. But he doesn't know that I got to do the podcast first, But I'll take him out afterwards. But thank you for asking, my friend. My dog is the best. He's going to be 7 years old next month on May 25th. He's going to be 7 years old. I always, on his birthday, I take him hiking, and then I get him these special puppy cupcakes or dog cupcakes. They're specially made for dogs with peanut butter and good stuff, yogurt, healthy stuff. I give him his cupcakes. He doesn't even chew them. He literally goes like, oh, swallows it. And I'm like, fuck, bro. Can you at least chew it? But anyways, it's his birthday. Can't believe he's going to be 7. I got him when he was 8 weeks old. He was this big. This big. Now he's freaking 80 pounds, which is, I think, approximately like 35 kilos. Let's see. Great. Jonathan says, hey, Mo, a Nigerian living in Germany. First time commenting, following for long. Thanks. Thank for always keeping us up. I can't read today. For keeping us updated. Hope we strengthen weak positions this summer. Barca can win La Liga again next season. Amen, my friend. Amen. Thank you for your comment and for following the channel. I really hope so. I think we have such a good core of players, young, hungry players, who play so well. But we need to strengthen the squad, and with a few tweaks, with a few additions, we don't even have to go crazy. We're not talking about Man City or Arsenal or even Atletico Madrid going spending 300-400 million and just like buying half of the world. 2 or 3 tweaks, and we can have a Champions League squad. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a beautiful thing. Also, the fact that all these players are young, that means once we do tweak the squad a little bit and turn it into a Champions League winning squad, we're going to have a Champions League winning squad for many, many seasons. And that is also pretty beautiful, because having a great squad, that's amazing. But having a great squad for many, many years, that's even better, right? We don't want a one-hit wonder, right? We don't want to just win once and then that's it, right? We want a squad that's constantly competing every season. And, well, we have that squad. We just need a few more additions to make it even better. Hi, let's see. Zach Urban says, hey, Mo, how you doing, brother? Osimhen is the only proven 9 we can get this summer. There aren't that many true 9s available now, to be honest. Haaland, Isaac, Sesko, most either aren't for sale or too expensive. But here's the thing. Osimhen is also too expensive, right? People are always mentioning Osimhen, like the guy's going to cost us 2 apples and a goat. He's going to cost north of 100 mil. So he's in the same boat as all those names you mentioned. But anyways, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's do the next bit of news, because we do have to talk about Alejandro Balde, who's currently under the microscope, given his dip in form. Now, Barcelona's stance remains the same. They don't have an intention to sell Alejandro Balde this summer transfer market. In other words, he's not on the market. They're not going to clubs saying, hey, you want to buy this guy? That's not the case. However, if a lucrative offers come through, they will consider it, right? That's not the same as putting someone on the market. Putting someone on the market saying, I don't want this guy, let's get rid of him. Balde here. I prefer to keep him, but if we get a lot of money for him, I'm okay with selling him. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have the non-transferable. I'm not looking to sell him, and I don't care how many offers or how lucrative the offers are. He is not for sale. For example, Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Pau Cubarsí. These are players that even if they come 200 million, 300, 400, I don't care, bro. They're not for sale. Go kick rocks. Now, here is the new information, because you already knew this. Right? You already knew that Barcelona were open to hearing offers for Balde. I mentioned it in several videos. The new news is that now within the locker room, a.k.a. Hansi Flick and his staff, they believe that Balde needs to step it up. Flick believes that Balde has a lot of potential. He knows that he can become his next Davis, right? Because let's not forget, it was Flick who turned Alphonso Davies into the beast that he is. So Flick believes that Balde has that potential to become his next Alphonso Davies. However, he also believes that Balde is not doing what he's supposed to do, that he needs to step it up. And here's another new bit of news. Next season will be an incredibly decisive season for Balde. Why? because Balde has 2 more seasons left on his contract. And next season, right now, Barcelona are not willing to sell him unless a big offer comes in. Next season, Barcelona will be watching him closely. And if Balde does not step it up, we're going to go from we're not willing to sell unless a big offer comes in to let's get rid of this guy. So next season will be incredibly decisive for Balde. He needs to step it up. Otherwise, it's bye-bye Balde. And in fact, Hansi Flick kind of hinted on it during his pre-match press conference today. Because this is what the German coach had to say. He's back from injury, talking about Balde. And Cancelo is playing very well. That's football. We'll need everyone in these last 6 games to win the league. Now, if you read between the lines, I think the message is clear. Cancelo has taken your spot, and we'll need everyone in these last 6 games. In other words, you need to step it up because we need everybody performing and firing on all cylinders. So, the message is clear. The writing on the wall is clear. Balde, you have a lot of potential, but you need to step it up, bro. Because this season, it's not that it's been a bad season. It's been a very inconsistent season. Because Balde has still had good performances, but he's also had very horrible performances, not to mention lots of injuries, and that's not okay, right? Having potential, it's not enough to be a Barca player. You also have to perform. I've said that a million times. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Incredibly, incredibly important if you want to play for the best clubs in the world. Not just Barca, any big club. Anyways, let's get back to the comment section, and then we're going to talk about Victor Osimhen, which I know a lot of you are like, no, let's get him. He's going to cost $2. And it's like, no, he's also going to be very expensive. But let's talk about Osimhen after the comments. And of course, got to take a sip of wine. There it is. I like it. I like it. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? Here we go. Koroma says, Alhamdulillah, thanks to be God, I'm here tonight. Good evening, Mo. Greetings from Sierra Leone. Let's go. I hope we win these 2 matches so we'll become champions before Real penalty. I mean, obviously, that's what I would. Obviously, that's what I want. I want Barca to become champions. The sooner, the better. But man, it would really be nice to beat Real Madrid at the Camp Nou, first El Clasico match since the Camp Nou reopened, and become champions so we can dance in their faces. You know, remember when we did that at the Real Sociedad Stadium at in the half circle, full circle. What is it called? The circle in the middle of the field. I don't fucking know. Anyways, we were dancing and then their fans got mad. I want to do that, but at the Camp Nou against Madrid in their faces, so we can watch Vinicius Jr. cry and we can watch Mbappe getting caught offside and diving for penalties, and we can see Birmingham getting mad. That'd be nice. Let's see. P4K Chema says, I don't think Koundé is a world-class player. He only played at Sevilla and then got interest from Barca and Chelsea. He hasn't done anything besides his last good season. I disagree. I think Koundé had several good seasons until this one. I mean, he was instrumental in Barca's winning La Liga under Xavi. He was really good last season. Even the one where we really sucked under Xavi, where we didn't win anything, I think he was still good. Of course, this season he's not. So I would disagree that he only has this last season. I think he's done better. Plus, at Sevilla, he was also a beast. Enrico says Osimhen is attainable, but he will need to push the transfer from Galatasaray. Alvarez will never be able to pressure his move to Barca. If he doesn't get guaranteed from Barca. I think at this point, that's all speculation. There's no indication on why Osimhen would be better to pressure and not Alvarez. They could both easily pressure their teams to leave, or they could both not pressure their teams to leave. Or Julian, yes, and Osimhen, no. Or Osimhen, yes, and Julian, no. I think to make such an assumption, I think there's no basis to it. Like, what makes you think that Osimhen is most likely to push a transfer, but not Julian. There's really no indication of any of that. I think whoever wants to come is going to have to make a push. Whether it's Osimhen, whether it's Julian, one of them is going to have to force his way out because Barcelona will not be able to afford whatever Galatasaray or whatever Atletico Madrid will want. Let's see. Enrico says, I fear that without Yamal facing plays with his skills, they will try to derail Barca with shit calls that will make us drop points. And also, it feels like Barca against La Liga, Tebas, and everyone. Well, this is why we have other players, right? We cannot be heavily dependent on just one. And, this is when the rest of the team is going to have to step up. This is when Flick's going to have to come up with other ideas to compensate for the lack of Lamine. We cannot always just depend on one guy and one guy only. Solomon says, I hope what happened to Asu should not happen to Yamal. This kid is making us the fans enjoy football again, but it seems like FIFA is killing football with their tight schedule. Different injuries. Ansu had a knee injury, and knee injuries are always dangerous, right? They're always dangerous. Some people make it out of it, some people not. Ansu was incredibly unlucky with, 3 surgeries or 4 surgeries that he had on that knee. Very, very unlucky. Let's see. Gugan says Spain coach and Hansi is turning Lamine to Ansu Fati. Give rest time, man. I don't know how true that is. Did you say the same about Messi when he played every single match? Anyways. Zalung's method says, which players do you think we will realistically offload in the summer? Because I would love to let go both Ferran and Lewa, but it's unrealistic they will sign them, for example, Osimhen and a backup. Let's see. I don't see Ferran leaving. I really don't. Remember, Barcelona have tried to sell him a bunch of times. And he just never wants to leave. And I see him wanting to leave even less now that the team is successful. Remember, Barcelona were trying to sell him when Xabi was here. And we sucked. And he still wouldn't leave. He's definitely going to want to stay now that Barcelona is actually winning trophies. I just don't see it. Lewy is looking more and more likely to me that he will leave. But not because Barcelona want to offload him, because it's the opposite. Barcelona want to renew him, but I think he just feels like he can be playing more. And he's going to want to go somewhere else where he believes he could get more minutes. Someone like, for example, Juventus. Juventus are looking to probably give him a starting role. Obviously, Chicago Fire, he would definitely be the starter. And I think AC Milan too. Wisdom says people hating on Flick for playing Yamal will be the same people criticizing him if we drop points when Lamine is benched. You ain't kidding. And Earl says, I hope Rooney risks. He's playing very conservatively, like he's afraid to lose the ball or make a mistake. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that assessment. We saw it against Celta. He does look like he always wants to make that safe pass, back pass, or he's just so afraid of making a mistake, right? And that just comes, with age, because he's very young. That comes with inexperience. That comes with that fear, right? The nerves, like, oh my God, this is my chance to shine, and I don't want to blow it, so I don't want to make a mistake. And by not wanting to make a mistake, you play very safe. But in playing safe, you're actually doing the opposite of what you're trying to do, which is impress, right? And it's like, no, you have to risk. You have to risk, because if you don't risk, well, you don't win, right? It's about the shots you take. But yeah, 100% agree with you, my friend. And Mehran says, hi, Mo. Thank you for your great program. I'm sure Rooney will shine soon after a few games. No players will shine in 1 or 2 games. I hope so, too. We need it. We need Rooney to shine, both for the sake of the team so we can win and wrap up this La Liga title, and also because, we need players, right? We need depth. And we can't have one player who's great like Lamine and his substitute not being anywhere good, because then if Lamine needs rest, if Lamine is suspended, is sick, is injured, then we're in trouble, right? So we need Rooney to not only step up for the rest of the season so we can wrap it up, but just step it up in general. That way next season, Lamine can get more rest, right? Because now you're seeing why Flick was not trusting Rooney as much because he's still very green. And, you know, if Rooney steps it up, if he becomes better, if he shows that he's a reliable sub, then I'm sure Lamine will get a lot more rest next season. And Costa says, damn, my dog just turned 6. I'm not ready for this. He's always going to be my baby. Yeah, man, it's tough. It's really tough. Time flies. Time flies. I wish they could live as long as humans. But anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news because, of course, we do have to talk about a fan favorite because many of you are constantly mentioning him, which is no other than Victor Osimhen, which we'll talk about these statements. But first, let's just do a general overview of the Nigerian attacker, who, of course, is 27 years old, currently at Galatasaray, has a contract until 2029 with the Turkish club. He has a market value worth 75 million euros. And since arriving in Galatasaray, he's been absolutely killing it so far. In the Super League, which is the league, the Turkish league's name, he has scored 12 goals and provided 4 assists in 19 appearances. And then I think in total, in all competitions, he has scored 19 goals this season, if I'm not mistaken. And I think so far, including last season, he's 50-some goals, 57. I don't know, crazy numbers. But since arriving in Galatasaray, Victor Osimhen has been an absolutely goal-scoring machine. So, of course, that has prompted Barcelona to scout him, right? To watch him, to produce reports about him, to see whether he would be a possibility for that center forward position that Barcelona want to reinforce this summer transfer market. Now, as you know, Julian Alvarez remains Barcelona's top target, but Osimhen, they're saying he is the option B, where if Julian doesn't work, Barcelona would then try to sign Osimhen. Why is Osimhen an option B and not an option A? Because on paper, I think Osimhen would be a much better fit than Julian. Not to knock Julian, but Julian Alvarez is not a 9. Yes, he plays in the 9 position at Atletico Madrid and he played at Man City, but naturally speaking, he's more of a second striker, more of a Joao Felix profile, someone who would really shine behind our front 3, behind Lamine, Rafinha, and whoever center forward we end up getting. But as a center forward, that's not really his natural position. As opposed to Osimhen, that's his natural position. He's a 9 through and through. Not to mention, he's a beast in that position because he scores a lot of goals. And an Osimhen at Barcelona with Lamine feeding him balls from the right, Rafinha feeding him balls from the left, Pedri feeding him balls from behind, I think his numbers would be even crazier than what they currently are at Galatasaray. But what's the problem? Why is he the option B as opposed to the option A? Barcelona have doubts about his behavior. Let's put it that way. We know he had a lot of problems at Napoli, not just with the club itself, but with his teammates, with his coaches. And they're saying he's already having problems in Galatasaray as well. So that, of course, is always a concern for any club, especially when you have a locker room that's really close-knit. As Barcelona, the last thing you want to do is bring someone that could detonate that. We've already seen what Mbappe, Vinicius, and Birmingham have done to Madrid, right? Madrid have the squad to be easily winning everything. But instead, they're not winning anything because, of course, they have a big problem with their locker room cohesion, which on paper, you would think that wouldn't make sense. Hey, I have the best players, means trophies, but no. Cohesion within the locker room is a big factor and a big difference between either winning or losing because, after all, it's a team sport. Surprise, surprise. So that's why Barcelona are not considering him as an option A. Again, it has to do with his behavior. Now, last time I said that, people went crazy. Mo, what are you talking about? Mo, this one. I'm telling you what the club thinks. Do not argue with me about whether I'm crazy about Osimhen, whether he has a great attitude or not. That's what the club thinks. If you think the club is wrong, take it up with the club. Don't take it up with me. I'm just giving you the news. Don't shoot the messenger. Now, a new development has come out in the Osimhen story, and this comes from Mihat Halis. I think I said that correctly. I don't know. He's a renowned FIFA agent. He has close links to Victor Osimhen, and he had to say the following about the Nigerian attacker, saying signing Osimhen is very realistic. It would even exceed 100 million. His transfer could be between Real Madrid and Barcelona. One has given up on Lewandowski. The other doesn't have a center forward. Real Madrid hasn't had a center forward since Karim Benzema's time. They are forced to play Mbappe and Vinicius as strikers. If they sign Osimhen, Mbappe and Vinicius will play in their natural positions as wingers and will be more effective. Victor Osimhen would be a very functional player for Real Madrid. So this guy, Misat Halil, whatever the fuck his name is, Mithat Halil, is saying that, yes, this summer, Osimhen could leave Galatasaray and he could be headed for Barcelona, who need a 9 to replace Lewy, or Madrid, who haven't had a 9 since I was 5 years old. Well, that's not true. Since Benzema. That was a few years ago. But he, of course, says that his transfer would exceed over 100 million euros. And that's where the problem lies, right? Not only is there a little bit of concern about from Barcelona regarding Osimhen's character or attitude or behavior, however you want to put it. But, of course, if it exceeds 100 million, Barcelona is just not going to go through with it. Because as you know, the budget is 100 mil. Barcelona cannot go over. And here, the super agent is saying it would exceed the 100 million, which that puts them out of range for Barcelona. Something I've been saying for quite some time, but people keep forgetting. They're like, oh, Haaland's too expensive. Oh, Kane is too expensive. Oh, this guy, we should get us some him. It's like, we're talking about, bro, he's also too expensive. Like, it's like, hey, Lambos are too expensive, so you should get a Ferrari. They're just as expensive, bro. But anyways, now, at Real Madrid, that would be an interesting thing, by the way. Not that I want Osimhen to go to Madrid, but I think on paper, Osimhen in the middle with Vinicius and Mbappe on the wings, I think that would probably be the most killer attacking trident in Europe. But on the other hand, they already have a locker room problem. They have Mbappe's ego that doesn't fit, Bummingham's ego that doesn't fit, Vinicius' ego that doesn't fit. Rodrigo seems to have also a little bit of ego there, probably not as big. Valverde. And then you throw in Victor Osimhen there. I have a feeling he would be another Trojan horse. And that locker room would get even crazier and more out of control. Which, if that's the case, by all means, Madrid, please sign Osimhen. If that's not the case, Madrid, please don't sign Osimhen, because that would be a pretty scary attacking trident to have Osimhen, Vinicius, and Mbappe. I mean, that would be a goal-scoring machine trident, because Victor Osimhen is a goal-scoring machine. If you have Vinicius and Mbappe feeding them balls, he would become a bigger scoring machine. And then the fact that Vinicius and Mbappe can also score goals, my God, I mean, that will be dangerous. So let's hope that doesn't happen unless, of course, like I said, Victor Osimhen does go to Madrid and ends up destroying the locker room even further. In that case, yes, please, do happen. But anyways, my question to you is, knowing that Osimhen is likely to leave this summer from Galatasaray and is likely to cost more than 100 mil, would you sign him for Barcelona? Yes, no, maybe. Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section, of course, if you're watching this once it ends. And also, I'm curious to hear your reasoning. Don't just say yes. Tell me, yes, Mo, because ABC. I'm very curious. All right, let's do some comments, and then we'll do the last bit of news in regard to the other target of Barcelona, who's no other than Julian Alvarez. Koroma says, Mo, I love when you call the name Real penalties. They give me joy. And the more you keep calling that name, is more blessing you receive. Amen. A la Real penalty. Happy draw day. Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And yes, man, Real penalties. What a mess. What a mess. But anyways, Cherno says, hi, Mo. How possible is it for us to win the league on the day of El Clásico and receive our trophy while Madrid give us the card of honor? It is possible, but we would have to drop points for that to happen. Or Madrid would have to drop points. Because before Madrid drop points today, we needed to win 3 matches to become champions. Tomorrow against Getafe. Next week against Osasuna. Damn it, I hate these fucking automatic. I got to take that off. And El Clásico. If we won those 3 matches, Getafe, Osasuna, and then Madrid, we would have become champions against Madrid at the Camp Nou. Now that Real penalties have dropped points, all we need is to win against Getafe and Osasuna, and that would make us champions. So we would arrive at the Clásico already champions. So it is possible, but we would have to drop points, which, of course, I'd rather we not drop points. Let's see. Kenneth says, hi, Mo. Thank you for all your information. Is it true that Osimhen is willing to reduce his salary to join Barca? Not that I know. Not that I know. Or at least I haven't heard anything. But no, not that I know. And Olia, plus, even if he does, remember, they're saying he would cost more than 100 mil. So salary or not, we can't afford the transfer fee. Ola Yiwola says, hi, Mo. I honestly predicted 2027 since 2022 for us to win Champions League with 3 major signings. We're good for the shot. My question is, can we get striker, winger, and defender with our small budget? Depends who we sign for the center forward. Because the budget for the summer is 150 mil. If we go below 100 mil on Julian or 100 mil on Osimhen, that leaves us with 50. That 50 will probably most likely go to Bastoni. And then that's it. We're out. So it depends who we end up choosing for the center forward position. Because out of the 150, it looks like 50 will go to Bastoni for sure. Maybe more. So that leaves another 100 for the left wing and the center forward. So it depends. Let me see. Sport says, let's tap on the like button because this is far the best Barca channel out there. Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And yes, hit that like button. Believe it or not, it's the best way to help the channel, even more than subscribing or commenting or hugging your computer screen or your cell phone when you're watching me. Even though I appreciate the hug, I'll send you a hug back. But actually, the like button is what helps the most because the more likes a video gets, the more likely the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm will recommend it to other people, right? Because what YouTube wants is for you to stay watching as long as possible. Because the more you watch, the more ads they can hit you with. And the more ads they can hit you with, the more money they make from ad revenue from companies, right? So they want you to stay glued. So when they see a video getting a lot of likes, they're like, oh, that must be a good video. Obviously, they're not going to sit there and watch it to see what it is. They're just like, oh, it's getting a lot of likes. It's getting a lot of comments. It must be a good video. Let's recommend it to other people so those people can watch it. And because it is good, they're going to keep watching and we're going to keep bombarding them with ads and we're going to keep making money. So yeah, believe it or not, like button, very, very helpful. So please hit that like button. And Dr. Knight says, like button, please. Yes, please. Hala partrit. Hala Real Betis. Let's go. Zach Urban says, Ansu on the left, Lamine on the right. What could have been? Yeah, man. Can you imagine like had Ansu stayed healthy? Because obviously he's skilled. You know, it's not a matter of lack of skills. We saw what he used to do, right, when he first debuted. So he obviously had the skill and the potential to be maybe not the best, but, you know, a great player. And, you know, the injuries. But yeah, can you imagine Lamine on the right, Ansu on the left, 2 academy players, just dribbling past defenders, combining, scoring, feeding balls to our center forward, whomever it will be. Whoo! What a dream. It's such a shame. It's such a shame, man. Fuck these injuries. It's such a shame that Ansu got dealt the hand that he got dealt. Carlos says, I will be okay if Rooney doesn't meet these high expectations. Of course, I hope he does. Great, but they only cost 2 million euros, which is not a bad deal. Yeah, let's go. Let's go, Rooney. Yeah, no. And this is what I said when we signed him, and this is what I always say when we sign someone on the down low. And when I mean down low is as in cheap, not like down low, like, hey, come here. Take this money. Let's sign this guy. That's not what I mean. I mean, like on the cheap, because, yeah, if they work out, amazing, bro. Can you imagine if Rooney becomes like one of the, like a top, not the best, but like a top winger in Europe? You pay 2.5 million for a top winger. That's crazy. That's like signing, like, can you imagine signing Yon Diomande for 2.5? That'd be crazy, right? It's like you hit the jackpot. And if you don't, who cares? It's 2.5 mil. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of money for you and I. But for a club as big as Barca, it's 2.5. It's much better than spending 130 on fucking Dembele and he ends up flopping. Now you're out 130 mil. That's a lot of freaking money. Anyways, let's do the last bit of news and then we will do more comments. But let's do the last bit of news because we do have to talk about Barcelona's main target, Julian Alvarez. That's not him. It's not Julian who got a tan. I promise that's Osimhen. Let's talk about Julian Alvarez, the Atletico de Madrid star who has a contract until 2030, if I'm not mistaken. Someone that they say he really, really wants to come to Barcelona. But of course, the problem is Atletico Madrid not looking to sell. They're in the Champions League semifinal. He's their best player. He's their star. So why would you want to sell? Why would you want to sell Lamine if you're Barca, right? Because that's kind of like their Lamine. I'm not saying Julian is like Lamine. He's not, obviously. Lamine is much better. But, you know, he's their Lamine. He's their star. He's their best player. So why would you want to sell your best player? Not to mention, Atletico Madrid now have a new investor called Apollo. I think it's an American company who has poured a lot of money into Atletico Madrid and whose goal, of course, is to turn Atletico Madrid into a world-class club. And you don't become a world-class club by selling your stars, right? You do it by keeping your stars and hopefully signing more stars. So, Atletico Madrid not willing to sell Julian, but they're saying Julian really wants to come to Barca. Barca want him. He's their main target for the center forward position. But of course, Barca are not willing to make any moves unless Julian makes the first move. In other words, he comes out and says, I want Barca, or he tells Atletico I want Barca. Only then will Barcelona make a move. Now, what's the new news? Because you already knew this if you follow the channel. The new news is, and this is brought to you by Emiliano Raggi, an Argentinian reporter, someone who's very knowledgeable of the transfer market, more so about the Argentinian transfer market. And when I mean Argentinian transfer market, I don't mean players who are only in Argentina. I mean just Argentinian players in general, all around the world. He, in fact, works very closely with Fabrizio Romano. He also features a lot on the DAZN transfer show. I can't remember what it's called. So in other words, someone that's very trustworthy in the transfer market, because Emiliano Raggi has revealed that Julian Alvarez's brothers are currently in Barcelona searching for a home. And the speculation is that this home could be for Julian because the Alvarez family are very, very close-knit. In fact, his two brothers also play football, and they both opted, or one of them at least, opted to play for a second division team in Madrid, having a chance to play somewhere else so they can all be together, so they all live in the same city. And now the fact that they're shopping for a house in Barcelona, many are saying that this is because Julian is plotting his move to the city of Barcelona. And of course, he's not just going to move to Barcelona and commute to Madrid every day. And that's because he also wants to play for Barcelona. Now, of course, this is still... Does this mean that Barcelona would be able to sign Julian? Not necessarily, but it definitely changes things a little bit. And what do I mean by that? Because up to now, if you ask me, can we sign Julian? I would say impossible. Atletico are not looking to sell. And even if they did, they would want a lot of money. But I did say before, I think in today's video, maybe in the previous one, I don't remember. I said the only circumstance where Barcelona could potentially have a chance, not even like actually signing, but have a chance at signing, is if Julian puts his foot down and forces his way out. In other words, he sits down with Atletico Madrid's leadership and says, I'm done. I want to leave. And the only place I want to go to is to Barcelona. In that case, yes, there is a possibility. Because now he's forcing Atletico Madrid to sit down and negotiate with Barca and perhaps lower their asking price. Now, they could still tell him, F you, but you have a contract and you're not leaving. But usually when players say, I want to leave and force their way out, usually clubs listen because the last thing you want, even though that player does have a contract and technically you could keep him against his will, the last thing you want is a player who's unhappy, who doesn't want to be there playing on your team. Because unhappy players, well, they don't perform as well. You know how like happy wife, happy life? Well, happy player, happy results. I don't know. I just made that up. So yeah. So of course, this begs the question. Is the fact that Julian Alvarez's family shopping for a house in Barcelona mean that he is willing to force his way out of Atletico Madrid? I don't know. But if he is, that does give Barcelona a chance at signing him. And of course, I want to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think? Do you think this is Julian sending a signal saying, hey, I want to leave? Does this mean Julian will be willing to force his way out? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. And now let's do more comments and then we'll end the live. This was a great live. Not because I did a great job, but because all lives are great because I get to read your comments live and react to them live. I love podcast day, and especially on Friday because not only it's podcast day, it's weekend. Barcelona plays. I mean, just happiness all around. Happiness all around. Let's see. Blaurana X says, yo, boo, I just won $100 off a $10 scratcher. Let's fucking go. Oh, what a Friday. I'll keep in mind, contribute to your channel. That's amazing, man. Congratulations. I mean, you get to watch Real Madrid drop points. You win $100. Barcelona play tomorrow. It's a freaking weekend. Man, you're off to a great start. You're off to a great start. So congratulations, my friend. Spend it wisely. Spend it wisely. Yomi Dara says, Yomi Odara. Hey, Mo, glad I made the live today. I wish us luck tomorrow. Those bumps don't play soccer. Amen, my friend. I wish us luck too. And Johnny San, always in the chat section. What's up, my friend? Says, what I love about Osimhen is that he presses. Man, look, Osimhen's a beast, bro. It's simple as that. He's a goal-scoring machine. He presses. He's fast. He takes on defenders. I mean, he's a beast. He's a beast. Osimhen with Lamine feeding him balls on the right, from the right, Coutinho's feeding him balls from the left, Pedri feeding him balls through the middle, Fermin feeding him balls through the middle. I mean, this guy would be probably putting up 30, 40 goals, maybe even more a season. But, I mean, the price is still a concern, right? And that's the problem. Let's see. What else? Java the Hut. What up, Java the Hut? Says some people are crazy, including the club, considering selling Balde, but there is no one who could replace him. So again, the club is not considering Balde a sale. They're not putting them on the market. They have no intention of selling them. However, someone comes with a big offer. We're talking about like, I don't know, 70, 80 mil. Then Barcelona would consider it. We're not even saying they would sell him if they get a big offer. They would consider it. And then, of course, they would decide whether to pull through or say, I don't care, I still don't want to sell him, right? That's different from, for example, Lamine. We get 300 million, not even consider, not even like, let's think about this. No. Hang up. You didn't even say goodbye. Let's see. JBJ says Osimhen wouldn't be an issue in Barca because that part of him comes out when his environment is hostile, which isn't the case with Barca. I mean, at this point, we're speculating, right? But, and I'm going to say this in general, not about Osimhen because I don't know the guy. If you have that part, it's bound to come out. This whole like, oh, it only comes out if you do this. It's going to come out. It's going to come out because guess what? It's sports. And in sports, stakes are high. Everybody's competing at the highest level. Players have this natural desire of just wanting to win. That's why, for example, a lot of coaches fail because they can't handle that, right? And a professional athlete has just a different way of seeing things, of reacting to things because they just have that crazy desire in them to win and to succeed. They always want more, 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 more. They're just insatiable. That's how they get to where they are. Something that most of us humans don't have. That's why they're the elites and we're not. I want to say elites, I mean elite football athletes. And when you have players or we have athletes all together, big egos, competitive people, friction happens. Friction happens all the time. And if you already have someone who has a propensity to blow shit up when friction happens, then they're gonna blow shit up because friction will happen. No matter how close the locker room is, people argue, players get mad, players get heated. And then, of course, most of them are like, once they get heated, once they calm down, they're like, all right, cool, yeah, sorry, blah. But if you have a propensity of blowing shit up, the moment you get heated, the moment you get friction, which it will happen because it does happen, and then you blow shit up, that's a problem. I'm not talking about Osimhen. I'm saying in general. So again, if that part is in you, it will come out. There's no such thing only if the environment is hostile, because you will be in a hostile environment eventually. After a loss, oh, this player I was going to pass him the ball. He didn't make the run. Now I'm mad at him. And now I'm going to go blow shit up. That's a problem. Let's see. Zach Urban says, I just hope that greatest striker of the generation, Ferran, is in our main nine next season. That's all I hope. Amen, my friend. And Mantamanti says, Real Madrid dropped points again. My friend, you're late to the party. We talked about it. Jasmine says, we don't need Osimhen. Alvarez is world class. He is. They both are. But they're both going to cost a lot of money. Money that we don't have. Brandon says, I really think that Victor Munoz and a striker like Osimhen would dominate our attack and open up any defense. Amen to that, my friend. Amen. And Seymour says, Simeone shitball will not get nothing. Here's the thing. Simeone has to get credit for what he's done. And what he has done is take Atletico Madrid to the next step, right? Where, they've won a couple of leagues in the last few years since he's becoming coach. They went to a Champions League final. They're now in a Champions League semifinal. So Simeone has elevated Atletico Madrid. So we got to give him credit for that. But Atletico Madrid also need to understand that if they want to go to the next step, not just be there, but actually have a chance at winning Champions Leagues, at winning La Liga titles, and not be, right now they're, I think, like 23 points, 24 points behind Barca. No, like actually be at the top with the best. It's time to move on from El Cholo. El Cholo took them a step higher than where they were, but if they want to take another step forward or higher, someone else needs to come in because El Cholo ain't it. He got them halfway there. Now they need someone else to finish the job. Earl says, so far I like Aslani with Bastoni. Both have the ability to mix passing, dribbling, and finishing. I like Aslani, but I feel like he's too young and too inexperienced to be the starting nine. I would prefer Aslani if Lewy was 34 or something, right? Where Lewy could be the starter. Aslani can come, learn from him, develop, mature, gain experience, and then become the starter. But I don't feel like Aslani is ready to come in and be starter on day one. Which, if that's the case, that means Ferran will have to be our starter while Aslani develops and gains experience and maturity and confidence. And that's a dangerous thing, my friend. It's a dangerous thing to have Ferran as our starting nine. Ayo Chili Clips says, I would love to see Leo, Osimhen, and Lamine up front. This is just me, but I believe Leo would give his all if he ever played for Barcelona. He just might be tired of beating at AC Milan. It's been trash of being at... Oh, Leao. I'm like, Leo, are you talking about Messi? I was like, but Messi's not at AC Milan. Okay. You're talking about Leao. Okay, so Leao, Osimhen, and Lamine. Maybe. But the problem is they're saying AC Milan would want 80 mil. And to... Plus, Leao incredibly high salary. So between an incredibly high transfer fee and an incredibly high salary, that's a big gamble on a player that you don't know how he's gonna work out because there's no guarantees, right? With Leao, incredibly talented player, has what it takes to be probably the best winger in the world, but also very inconsistent. On the other hand, AC Milan has been very inconsistent. So maybe it's the team, not him. A lot of maybes. And to spend 80 million on a transfer fee plus an incredibly high salary for maybes, too big of a gamble, especially when you add to it the fact that Barcelona are in a very bad financial situation. It's just too big of a gamble. If you're going to spend that much money when you have financial problems, you need to spend that money on more than a maybe. And right now, Leao is a maybe. Osimhen, for example, he's not a maybe. Julian, not a maybe. Haaland, not a maybe, right? These are players who are not a maybe. They could still come and flop. Don't get me wrong. They could still flop. But they give you a lot more guarantees than someone like Leao. And it's not lack of skill. God, no. Leao is a beast. But he just hasn't shown consistency. And to spend that much money on a question mark, just dangerous thing financially. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. That is all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. It really helps the channel. If you want to tell me anything you think about what I share with you today, drop a comment. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, bro, what the hell are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for joining me on this beautiful Friday. I will see you guys in tomorrow's watch along. Let's hope Barcelona take home 3 points so we can extend our lead to 11 points ahead of Real penalties. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And as always, Viscarsa.